Hello, I'm Linda Wagoner. I'm a senior consulting psychologist with Huntington Institute. In this segment, we're going to talk about conflict management in cross-cultural interpersonal situations. Now, this is a very difficult interpersonal competency to master, and because of that, people often tend to avoid conflict, which is the worst thing that you can do. So, we're going to give you a couple of key strategies so that you can begin to improve your conflict management skills. There are two things you need to keep in mind. First of all, know yourself and your conflict style, and second, know the other. In knowing yourself, there are a couple of critical questions you can ask. First of all, how committed are you to the task or the agenda? Second, how committed are you to the relationship? Good conflict management involves paying attention to both of those dimensions and balancing them. Both the task and the relationship are important. The second dimension then is to know the other. This becomes really complicated in a culture that you're not familiar with. I like to think about culture as an onion, where you peel back the various layers. And conflict management tends to be deep in that onion. So it's not until you've been immersed in a culture for quite a long period of time that you can get really good and comfortable with understanding how they manage conflict and disagreements. There are 4 ways that you can get better. The first is to observe. When you enter a culture, pay particular attention to how they handle disagreements. What are the verbal and nonverbal ways that they manage to pay attention to the task and pay attention to the relationship? The second is to ask key informants, people who are cultural experts. How do people in this culture handle disagreements? How would you recommend that I would approach someone that I have a disagreement with? The third is to consult all sorts of cultural sources. Read the literature, the stories, the mythology, listen to the music, to the poetry, see what's available on the internet, see what research has been done in this culture about conflict management. The fourth is perhaps the most important, and that is observe other people's reactions to you. This brings together those 2 dimensions I talked about, knowing yourself and knowing the other. In particular, when someone disagrees with you, how do they respond to you? How are people reacting to your interpersonal style? If you do these things, I think you'll get better at managing conflict, even in these very difficult moments where there's cross-cultural, interpersonal differences. It's really important to do this for 2 reasons. One, of course, it will help you get your job done. But the second is it will help to bridge those often unintentional cultural misunderstandings that occur. So I encourage you to really practice. It's like any other behavioral thing. The more you practice it, the more comfortable you'll become. Good luck.